Hi.
How are you? Good?
Good. How are you?
Good. My name is Deb Overly. I'm the director of operations for the ActivAge franchise and also an ADC pro coach. So Kris will be joining us in a few minutes, but while we're letting everybody in, going to go over a few things, especially for those who are here for the first time. Um, at ADC Pro, we believe adult daycare is the future of senior care. However, we've seen many people struggle to get started and struggle to get their adult day centers open. So we're on a mission to help other avoid mistakes, achieve success, so that they can share the good news of adult day with the world, with us. The purpose of today's call will be to give everyone a chance to ask Kris questions so we can learn from each other and hopefully avoid some of the mistakes that we've seen others make. So, in order to keep track of everyone's questions, I'm going to ask you that while we're kind of just talking here, go ahead and start submitting your questions by typing them into the chat box now. And when Kris comes on, he will go through each question in order that it was received. He usually spends about 5 to 7 minutes on each question so that he can get through as many questions as possible. And remember that when he calls on you and he is asking about your question, remember to unmute your mic. So while you're typing the questions into the chat box, I want to, who's on that is a first time participant? Anybody brave enough to tell me? Okay. Where are you located? What state?
I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Okay. All right.
The property is in Crystal River that I have that I'm considering.
Okay. All right.
Hi,
So what
I'm
stage
Linda.
Oh, hi, Linda.
Sorry, I thought I'm
That's
in
okay.
Jacksonville.
I'll ask him one more question and then I'll come to you.
Sorry.
Greg, what stage of the process are you in right now? Just investigating or learning, or have you started doing anything with the property?
So that's a good question. So yeah, the property is completely the property is completely finished. It's ready to go. It's between this business model or just regular straight up bed and breakfast or Airbnb. So the city of Crystal River has some interesting clauses for their city. They want you to serve breakfast and have management available for Airbnb. So I think it's a little bit intrusive on how they tell you to run your business.
Right.
So I said, well, me and my business partner, we had a conversation, and I started exploring other things.
Other uses for the property.
Yes. So this is one of the other things that we've decided to explore, and just really interested. I don't know how hot I am on the idea. I like to learn more about it. I'll probably have questions. Probably just my idea was to come onto this seminar and kind of be a fly on the wall and see what everybody else has to say.
Okay, cool. You will learn. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot about it because we cover a lot of questions in the hour. Where'd you go, cool. Linda? Are you there?
Hi, I'm still here. Yes,
Hi,
I'm in Jacksonville.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm in Jacksonville. I just ended an 8-year career as an ALF administrator and looking to do something that I feel like is really needed in the Jacksonville area. So many people can't afford to live in an ALF, but they need something. They need somewhere to go when their families are gone for the whole day long. So I think it's really needed here. So I filled out my application. I have a meeting with my investor tomorrow who will be funding the project, and he has a property. So we're going to talk about that. I don't know if it's going to be approved or not, but so that's kind of where I am.
Cool. All right. One of the things that you guys might want to note as we're talking and visiting a little bit is if there's somebody else in the same state as you, it's always good to note their name because there'll be a great resource for you. Every state has different regulations and things like that, and so it's always great to know other people that are in the same state as you. Where's Ava? Are you there, Ava? No.
Yes, I'm here.
I saw Ava say that she was from California and a first time person. Okay, who else is on for the first time? Harriet? You want to unmute your mic? Unmute.
Harriet Hunt, South
How
Carolina.
are you?
I'm doing great.
And where are you, did you say? Florida?
South Carolina.
South Carolina?
South
Okay.
Carolina. Mhm.
And where are you on this journey?
I'm actually been in the process of starting a adult daycare for almost 3 years. COVID hit me and I had the perfect building. The building was everything. It was 6,000 square feet and I got outbidded. So I had to find one in the strip mall that's twice as small, but it's 3,400 square feet. And I'm beginning construction hopefully next month, beginning of
Hey,
next
cool.
month.
All right, you're on the way.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, but here in Florida, we got hit with COVID, and then we got hit with, well, in Southwest Florida, we got hit with COVID, and then we got hit with a hurricane. So
Yeah.
it's been a whole process of bouncing back after each thing. All right, who else is on? Who else is on for the first time? Anybody else for the first time? You are?
Deanna.
Hi, can you unmute? Deanna?
Yes. Hello, my name is Deanna Jones. I am in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm currently a nursing home administrator, and I am trying to put my dream to action. I'm in the
You're trying
beginning
to what?
stage. Put my dream to action in the beginning stage.
Okay. Okay, very good. And so are you guys, I don't have the chat box up right now because I'm looking at everybody coming in and everything. So are you putting your questions in? Do some of you have questions already? Yeah. Okay, who else is on for the first time?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. My name is Geralda. I'm in Tampa, and this is my first time on here. I'm interested in starting my own adult daycare, and I saw that this company right here would be able to help me. So I was interested in getting some more knowledge on how to start the process on pretty much I just been jotting things down. I work right now as a health service administrator for my facility at the hospital. So I'm
Okay.
just looking how to start and where to go about.
Okay. All right. There's pretty many people on from Florida today. We can do a couple more. I would like to talk to a couple more people, but I do want to let you know that we do have several ways for you to get information. The monthly webinars are one of them. So they're always the second Wednesday of the month. So the next one will be October 11th. We also have a Facebook group, this ABC group that everybody that you see here is on that Facebook group. And that's a great place to go to ask questions in between webinars and stuff. Kris will answer questions, I'll answer them. And sometimes you guys can help each other on there. We have a YouTube channel with more than 300 educational videos on that channel about just about every part of opening and running a daycare that you can think of. And oftentimes if there's something that somebody's looking for and we don't have that video on, that's something that you can bring to the webinar, and Kris can usually put something together. We do coaching. We do coaching calls one-on-one when you're up or running or just starting and you have specific questions that you need more in-depth counseling or help with. We do those. And then also if you decide that you're interested in going the franchise route, I can send you information about that too. So during the excuse me, during the webinar tonight, while Kris is answering questions, I will put the links to all of those things into the chat box in case you have not gotten onto those things already. I see Mary Grimes is on. Mary, have you been on before? Are you there, Mary? No, she's not there. She went away.
I'm here.
You're there?
I'm just, yeah.
Have
Hi.
you been on before?
I listened another time, so, but this is my first time. And I live in San Diego.
Oh, wow. I love visiting San Diego. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
gorgeous.
That's a cool town, a cool
Yes.
city. Where are you in the process?
So I got my license in 2018, and then 3 of my family members got vitally, or, they had issues in COVID. So I kind of put my goals and dreams off for a period of time, but my dad is remaining, and so I'm back in the game.
Okay. All right. So you're circling back around and gonna restart. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. That's basically what I have. I see Kris is here, so it's been a pleasure getting to know you guys. Together, we're going to change the world with Adult Day, and I'm going to hand you over to Kris at this point.
So you want to pursue the American dream, you want to start your own adult day center, but you don't know where to start. Go to adcpro.com and click on the blog section and choose from all sorts of categories, including financial, startup stage, marketing, operations, and much, much more. Become the Adult Day Pro you were born to be. adcpro.com.
He can start answering all your questions.
Thanks, Deb. What's
Go
going on,
ahead.
everybody? How you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
I'm excited. I love getting together with everyone here. I think you guys always have great questions, and it really helps each other out. And so it's fantastic. And for a lot of you guys, too, if you've missed past webinars, we do have a library on our YouTube channel with all of the past webinars that have been recorded. So we'll break them up into like the questions, so you can easily go to the chapter or whatever too. So, but yeah, thanks for being here, guys. At some point in time, I'm gonna call on Linda because I think she's working on a financial projections for a location that she is trying to open in Jacksonville. I thought it'd be a fantastic way for us to talk through some maybe more nitty gritty stuff. And I think it would open it up for questions and kind of really be a good learning experience for everyone. So that being said, we'll get into that, but I'd love to get maybe at least 2 questions out of the way first, and then we'll jump into Linda's stuff. So yeah, who's up? Who's up first? I think I see on the chat box, it says, I don't know which Erica. I think I saw 2 Ericas, but Erica's iPhone, that Erica. You had a question about, I guess, leasing or owning a building.
Yes,
How are you, Erica?
I'm good. How are you, Kris?
Doing good, doing good. So where are you at in the process? Give me a little background. What
So-
stage are you in? That thing.
Basically, I have a building that we've had the architect out to create the preliminary designs, and we've got the construction has come and done a bid, and so I've got the numbers. But I'm in the process of getting together my funding, and I'm struggling a little bit in that area. And one of the SBA consultants that I talked to suggested that I specifically own the building, or at least ask for this to be a lease to own option, and to put a clause in there that she can't raise my rent, mostly because of some of his experience and whatnot. So I guess I've just had a couple of different people along the way have different opinions about whether or not owning or leasing the space is that much of a big deal. Like, especially as close as I am, like I already have an architect, I've already had the construction in there, I've already submitted the CPIF. Like I mean, I've done what feels like 9 months worth of work for this particular space. And so I guess I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, okay, so help me understand. So you've done, I mean, you got an architect, you have the space, but you don't have a lease yet, or you do have a lease space. Help me understand the space that you have.
So the space is a space that I will want to lease. And when I first started looking at it, it was either lease or own. I could have bought it or I could have leased it, and they had two different numbers on it. But then after I got the architect there to do the preliminary stuff, they changed it to where I could only lease it, and they increased the price. And so I've worked the numbers out to where that's okay. I can work with that because, like I said, I've already had to pay the architect and then the construction guy to come out to give me a bid on that. So I'm like hesitant to look for something else just because I'm leasing it instead of actually owning it. If you've seen a lot of success with people just leasing their space as opposed to owning it, but you tell me what you think.
Yeah, so I mean, two things. One, if you were to like purchase the building, you're gonna have a much larger, like if you were getting an SBA loan, you're gonna have a much larger debt burden, right? So sometimes the nice part about leasing a space is you can work with the landlord to provide you with what they call tenant improvements, and the tenant and the landlord then could actually front some of the construction or the renovation costs. And that could be like a contribution, that goes towards all of your construction costs, so you don't have to incur the entire amount of construction. It's going to allow you to get open, a little bit faster, because if you go to purchase a building, you're going to, it's a lot easier to lease a space and get under contract and get into the space within 30 days than it is for you to purchase a space. Because if you purchase a space, you're going to have to go, get pre-approval from a lender. You're going to have to get all of your inspections. You're going to have to get the place under contract, which that in and of itself is going to be a process, depending on the size of the space you're trying to purchase. And then there's going to be a lot more, depending on the type of space that it is. Is it a commercial building? Is it maybe an old residential building that was converted into a commercial use? There's a lot of elements to that. And sometimes it's harder to find, buildings to purchase in the areas that you want to be in, meaning it's better to choose the right location, that you're in the right service area, than it would be to like purchase or lease a building. Eric, you still there?
Yes, I'm sorry,
yeah.
I muted you.
Gotcha.
So I think I gathered what you were saying. In that particular situation, it's more about the location than rather leasing or
location is yeah. I mean, both of our locations that we have, we purchased them, but it was only because we got lucky. Like the exact area I wanted to be in, like the location just happened to be for sale in that area. I know the second location in Sarasota that we're opening, for the longest time, I was planning on leasing a space, but when the time came for us to, pull the trigger on, an actual location in the area in the Sarasota market, that particular location just happened to be for sale. And so we got lucky with it. But at the same time, location is number one most important. And then once you've dialed in the right area of town that you need to be in, then, going around and making sure that, what's available, and, is it something for lease? Is it something for sale? But, buying the building is going to take a lot longer for you to get up and running than it is to lease the space.
Okay, I can understand that.
And then the biggest thing too is like, when you think about your all-in costs, right now, if you were leasing a space, what is your projected like all-in cost for construction, working capital, furniture, fixtures, and equipment? Like, do you have an idea of what all that's, what your general, I guess, estimate
Yeah.
for that would be?
Yeah, we're looking at like roughly 220.
220. Okay. Yeah. So like, so say you were going to buy a building, right? There's a good chance
Yeah.
that, in today's market, it's gonna be hard to get and purchase a building for less than
Exactly.
500,000, right? So you're probably gonna be in, if you were to purchase your own building, you're probably gonna be all into that building somewhere between
Right.
750,000 and $1.2 million, right? And then the other thing is you're gonna be paying interest rates that are gonna be anywhere between 7 and maybe 10 or 11%, right? So the thing is, a lot in this market that we're in today, it's going to be more cost effective for you to lease, because there's a good chance that you can go and find a landlord who's willing to lease you a space, and maybe that landlord purchased that building 20 years ago, and he either paid it off, or maybe his rates 4% or 3%, and so as a result of that, he doesn't have to charge as much from a rental standpoint. Like in his mind, his what he has to charge from the price per square foot, it might be far less than what you could actually purchase a space and then pay your mortgage or your loan on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, so location first, and then make sure when you're talking to the landlord, I would say the biggest thing you want to do is you definitely want to see if you can get tenant improvements, and then the other thing you want to ask for is rent abatement. So tenant improvements, so that they're willing to contribute towards some of that construction cost for you. Maybe it's not a big amount. Maybe they only give you 20 grand, or maybe they only get a lot of times landlords are in different positions. Meaning a landlord might have a building that has a ton of equity in it, and it would be very easy for them to run to the bank, pull a little equity out of that, and then use that money to help you with the construction, and maybe they can contribute 20, 30, 40, or 50 grand to help with construction. Or maybe they're not well capitalized, or it's not paid down, or there's not a lot of equity in it, and maybe instead of that, maybe what they could do is they could give you 2, 3, 4, or 5 months of rent abatement, meaning you might not have to pay for the first 2 or 3 or 4 months of rent, depending on how
Yeah,
you
so
negotiate
we've
that
been
deal.
able to get the 4 months rent abatement, and I've also written the deal to be contingent on getting licensed. So
Right.
if for whatever reason anything doesn't fall through with that, then
Yep.
we wouldn't.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, I would say to keep your expenses lower at this point in time, to risk less and to to move faster, leasing is going to be a better option for you, especially in this market. Now that could change a year, 2 years from now. We might see a lot of properties come up for sale, depending on how people are capitalized right now, and depending on how this market shakes out as far as interest rates are concerned, or where prices are and stuff. You might get a good deal on a place in 2, 3 years. But in today's market, leasing is going to be your best option for sure.
Agreed. All right, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Erica. Appreciate you asking the question.
Interested in owning your very own ActivAge? Join the fastest growing franchise concept in senior care. As an ActivAge franchise partner, you can be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Have access to a world-class Margaritaville style environment, and together we can change the world for seniors and their family caregivers. Own an ActivAge today. It's a movement.
Let's see here. Anyone else? I see some stuff in the question box, but first person to shout out, I'll go to you.
So how do you determine the best location? That's my question. For
Okay.
Max attendance.
Gotcha. And what's your name?
My name's Mary, and I'm in San Diego.
Hi, Mary. Are you okay? Cool. San Diego, man. Half my family lives in San Diego. That's funny.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. So yeah, so determining the best location, right? You want to be in a densely populated area. You want to be in the center of town. You don't want to be off on the outskirts. Like you want to make sure that, you know, the market you're serving, that like everyone is within that there's a high densely populated area, 65 and up, you know, within that 3 to 5 mile ring around your center, you know. And you know, so the thing is, like, you definitely don't want to be on the outskirts of town. You don't want people to have to drive across town to find you or to come to you, you know, because that's gonna, you know, the further people have to drive to get to you, the less likely they're going to come on a regular basis. But if you're more convenient and you're like, you know, maybe you're not in the center of town where all the Class A shopping plazas are, but maybe you're off like the next side road where you have some older Class B shopping plazas. And when I think of Class, you know, B shopping plazas, you know, these are like the ones that were built in the, you know, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, you know.
Yes.
They're not as new, you know, it's not where all the hip, like, you know, all the brand new stuff is, all the brand new restaurants and stuff like that, you know, but they're still, you know, and a lot of times, you know, the shopping plazas that were built in those, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like kind of in that range, you're going to find a demographic around that area that is going to be more like, you know, conducive to the type of, you know, to the members you're serving, especially if you're opening up a senior focused adult day center. You know, I mean, you want to be in some of those maybe older areas, but you want to be in the center of them, not on the outskirts.
Okay. And then, you know about these villages that are plus 55, like Laguna Woods has, I think they have like 14,000 people in that tiny little populated area. Is that also, you know, just to be where there are hospitals and all that, the medical centers, the doctors around there? Is that a good option?
It is, you know, the hard part is like, you know, it's hard for me to like say like, is the area you're specifically talking about a good option? Because I don't have all the data in front of me. But the best thing you can do is you can always go to a realtor, especially one that maybe helps, or, you know, you can go to a realtor that maybe like specializes in commercial leases. And you could kind of like, you know, identify some shopping plazas that you think would be a, you know, a good area, you know, that you would like to open your adult day center in. Go to that realtor, you know, have them pull those addresses, and they could give you a demographic study that would give you exactly like what the demographic breakdown is, like, you know, when you look 3, 5, 7 miles out from that center, you know.
Yes, and that's the maximum, is people aren't going to travel more than 10 miles, 15 miles to get to a daycare.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 10, 15 miles is especially if you're in a populated area, it's going to be a long drive, you know. So, you know, I would say your sweet spot is you want a strong concentration within 5, you know, but you're probably still going to pull within 7 to 10, depending on, you know, where people live, where they work, you know, what their you know, what their you know, their current life situation is. You know, as an adult, is it an adult child taking care of mom and dad? You know, if so, you know, do they have work? Do they have their own kids? Are they, you know, are they trying to balance all of that, you know, and trying to get mom to and from? You know, are you going to offer transportation that could solve some of that problem? But then, you know, again, if you offer transportation, you may not be able to transport someone 10, 15 miles out in a densely populated area, because you're going to have them in the car for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that could be too long, you know? So, so there's things like that to take into consideration, you know. I mean, so when you're picking a location, you want your demographics to be strong within 5 miles, but you'll probably pull, you know, between 7 and 10. Now, if you're in a super rural area, like all this is out the window, and you know, you might have to pull from 15 miles plus, you know. But in a densely populated area, I would say like you want to measure your demographics based on a 5 mile ring.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Mary,
Nice.
thank you. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. So I think, you know, just you know, I'm gonna get to everyone else a little bit too. You know, Linda, I'd like to you know, call on you, and I'm gonna pull up the worksheet that you sent me, and maybe if you have like 2 or 3 questions, and we can go through those together. You know, let's see here.
There we go. How's
You got
that?
it? Okay. Yep,
Yeah.
let's see.
I'm struggling. I just moved and my Wi-Fi is not going at home, and so I'm just I'm at a restaurant, so it's kind of loud here. So I apologize for that. But
all
yeah,
right,
so
that's all
that's
right.
the P&L I put together like in 10 minutes today. It opens up more questions than it answers for me.
Yep. Yep.
So that's why I sent the list of questions, and I did put them in the chat.
Okay,
Some of
gotcha.
them. So yeah, do you
All
want
right.
to talk through what I
Yeah,
put
yeah.
together?
So give me so for everyone that doesn't know, Linda was inquiring about our franchise opportunities. As part of that conversation that we were having with Linda, she's working with a finance, with a an investor, and is trying to bring to that person projections that she can share to get them to understand the business model. Long story short, these are financial projections that could be a good resource, for us to talk through. And I think would be, really helpful for a lot of people maybe on this call that are in this process, just to get an idea of like things to think about maybe that they hadn't thought about before. So that being said, Linda, what was your first question?
I think the first one was what kind of projections, like as you can see, I have ramped up my attendance as the longer that we're open. And staffing like FTEs, I'm in Florida, and is there a requirement of ratio according to ACA like there is in an ALF?
Yeah, so in Florida, it's going to be 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, depending on whether or not you are specialized, like you have a special license for like memory care, Alzheimer's care, or if you have a regular standard license.
So that was my next question, is the licensure. So do we just go through even though it's a social model, we go through a regular licensure program?
Yeah, so even though it's a social model, you're still going to be licensed by ACA. You're still going through the licensing process. The license itself and the application, the way you apply, and all the information that you have to provide to ACA is going to be very similar, whether you go with a specialized license or whether you go with a social license. There's not much difference except for staffing goes from 1 to 6 to 1 to 5, and then when it comes to having a nurse on staff, there's going to be a little bit more requirements as far as having an LPN that is on staff. And Linda, what I was doing is in between questions, I was going to mute you if you want to unmute in between your questions, just to help out with the so go ahead.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at probably in this area having individuals who have a dementia diagnosis, would I need to do anything higher than a standard license?
Yeah, so if someone, so here's the biggest difference, right? So between a standard license and then like the specialized license, and at least in the state of Florida, the biggest difference, really is the fact that you can't advertise that you specialize in Alzheimer's and memory care, but it has nothing, like you can still take care of people that have Alzheimer's, memory care, Parkinson's, so as far as who you can serve, how you serve them, when it comes to all the personal care requirements that they might need help to and from the restroom, and any of the help they might need with, eating, toileting, bathing, any of those types of things, you're still able to do that under a social license. It really comes down to the way you advertise.
Great, that's easy.
Yep.
How about I had some questions on that P&L that I sent in as far as some guidelines as far as what utility costs are in some of your other communities. How long is it taking them to become profitable? And I know there's lots of variables in that. I'm just looking for a ballpark. Is it 8 months? Is it 2 years? Is it, and I know a lot of your investments, depending on if you lease or own, is involved in that. But let's say, regardless of whether you lease or own, let's just say you can go into a building and start, and you don't have to invest in the building itself. What can you anticipate as a timeline to be profitable?
Yeah, I mean, you should. I mean, ideally, you want to be breaking even somewhere between month 6 and month 9, and then you want to start being profitable by like the month 12, and then you should be well on your way to like 80% to 90% capacity in that second year. So the reality of it is that in order for you to be profitable, you don't have to be at 100% capacity, but to break even, you're going to need to be there's so many factors that go into this, but in order to break even, depending on, are you the administrator, are you not the administrator, do you have a massive staff, or are you filling in a lot of the other a lot of the other shifts or whatever. So when it comes to those types of things, that could make a big difference on whether or not you're profitable earlier, or if it's later, right? Because if you have a big, administrative overhead, it could take a while for you to get to that point. But if you're like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna help with activities, I'm gonna help on the care side, I'm gonna run the front desk, I'm gonna be a little bit of everything and support, and have like a smaller team, of course, a big enough team that is in compliance with ACA, but a smaller team, meaning I'm not shelling out, salaries for everyone, right? So that being said, ideally we're breaking even in the first 6 to 9 months. We're profitable in the first 12, and then we're scaling up to 80-90% capacity, by the second year. And then, but a lot of variables there. A couple of things I wanted to say on here. When it comes to your general liability insurance, I think your estimate on general liability is a little low. Depending on the size of space you're going to be. Say you were looking at, I'm just trying to, example, 6,000 square foot space, general liability on something like that, you're probably going to be all in, especially in today's world, right? In today's world, it's changed a little bit. So I would bet it's gonna be closer to like maybe somewhere between 4,000 to 6,000 for the year, instead of like 1,800. A couple other things on here too would just be, typically when you're thinking about renting a space, you might go to a place and it says like $15 a square foot or $20 a square foot that you're going to pay, but there's also going to be like another, like kind of a tax on top of that called the CAM, common area maintenance. That might be another $2 or $3 a square foot. And then you're going to pay sales tax on top of that, as well. So, when you think about 8,200, you're going to be 8,200 plus another 7% plus whatever CAM is.
Good. I didn't know what that was. So.
Yep. And then, I think electric will probably be somewhere between 300 to 600, depending on the time of year, depending on how efficient the systems are. If you're leasing a space, there's a lot of variables there. How well are they insulated? Are their systems older? Is the electric included in the rent, or do you pay separately for that? Is there a separate meter? Things like that are going to come up. I think you're on the cable internet side, you're probably going to be at least 200 to 300 on that. Telephones, on the telephone side, you're probably going to get VoIP. So I would budget closer to maybe 150 to 200 on that, depending on how you set it up.
How about software? What does that include?
Yeah, so software, so it depends. So if you use a company like StoryCare, if you use a company like My
Activity
Adult
Connection.
Daycare,
Yeah.
Activity Connection is going to be different. So Activity Connection is going to be more like activity planning, but then you're going to have other software services that are going to manage all of your health records, and so on that side of it, you're probably going to be closer to like somewhere between like 200 to 350,
Do you have a recommendation that you prefer that your franchises use?
Yeah, we love StoryCare. So Cameron Graham with StoryCare is fantastic. They got a lot of stuff there. We currently use MAD. We're in the transition process right now. But there's some stuff that we had to develop that was kind of specific to what we're doing because of the way we bill. But StoryCare is awesome. Cameron's a great, he's fantastic. So.
And then what does that run?
Yeah, so it depends on the size of the center. So it'll depend on like how many people, how many members or whatever that you have, so that could be anywhere between like, say, like I said, anywhere between like 200 to 350 probably.
Okay, great.
But yeah, so great questions. I think, this is helpful. If anyone's looking at this is, something to just, take screenshots of, something to kind of give you a little, idea of, how this works. Something to take in consideration up here too, that, I know we didn't get into, Linda, but as far as, I'm just adding, a couple people came on here late. As far as the average days open per month, what's going to change that is do you plan to be open on Saturdays or just Monday through Friday? All right. And then when it comes to average daily rate, if you accept Medicaid, your average daily rate's not going to be 105. Your average daily rate's going to be closer to like 60 to 75. So, but on the private pay side, your average daily rate should be at least 100. When it comes to average daily census, a lot of times, we'll get a little like, some would be a little fooled, meaning we go to open, we have 20 people sign up, we're all excited, we got 20 new members, but that doesn't mean 20 people are coming per day. What that means, you might have 20 new members, maybe out of the 20 new members, on a daily basis, you're averaging 10 to 12 people per day,
Okay.
So something to take into consideration there, but go ahead.
Do you require a contract, or are there requirements like there are with ACA?
So
Like they have to meet certain criteria?
There is some criteria that is all in what they call the Aspen regulations. So if you go on the Florida website, it's called the Aspen regulations, everything's going to be in there that you're going to need to know when it comes to, what you need to have. Really at the end of the day, they're not in a binding contract. They're more so in an agreement. It's like, so in most cases, especially in adult daycare, really, whether it's adult daycare, home care, or even assisted living, no one's in like a long-term binding contract like you would when you lease a space. Everyone's basically paying for their usage in a sense. And the agreement is like, hey, if we use your services, here's what we pay for those services rendered, So just something to be aware of, so really there's no like long-term binding contracts. There's just an agreement that kind of just clarifies, here's what we're providing in exchange for that, here's what we're charging, and everyone just has an understanding of that. And here's our terms for cancellation and things like that. So, but I'm gonna go over to the next person. But Linda, great questions. And
thank you so much.
So you want to hire a consultant to help you open your very own adult day center? Well, I may not be a consultant. However, I'm happy to coach you. If you want to sit down one-on-one and ask specific questions about your situation and what to do next, make sure you go to krischanna.com/coach and book your coaching call today.
Kris, there's several questions about licensure in Florida. There's several.
One of those was mine.
Okay, let's see who's I guess anyone else on the licensure side that wants to go ahead and just.
So hey, Kris.
Hey, Erica, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
So I have a couple questions. I've been on your Zooms for a while now, so I've been getting a lot of great info, and I'm headed in the right direction. I have completed my renovations. I'm here in Macon, Georgia.
Yep.
My space that I have, it is a smaller space. It's about 2,700 square feet. What makes us different is in Macon, most of the adult daycares are within the homes. And so mine will be the first in our area to be an actual commercial space. I think it's a good area because we're actually building an amphitheater to make a mall. The mall is right across from the area. It's really busy where I'm at. So I have until January before my first payment starts for rent. So I hope to be open by October. I plan to submit everything by next week to the state to get open. I did read in their policy is that you can open your facility and not be licensed if you have like 1 or 2 people in it. After 2 people, it has to be licensed.
Got it.
So how can I go ahead and get started with marketing? And if someone signs up, maybe starting to let them go ahead and come in. But what can I do to jumpstart my marketing so I can at least have a couple of clients by the time
yeah, 100%. So this is like I would say for every adult day startup that I'm learning about as I talk to a lot of you guys that are going through that process, I will say that the most common mistake I see is that people get so stuck in just trying to get open, like meaning like just the paperwork, the licensing, the construction, all of the stuff to finally get open, and then they hadn't put any time, energy, or effort into the marketing prior, and so it's one of those things where what happens is opening day comes, and then now or not opening day, but licensing approval comes, and now they're like, yay, I'm good, but all of a sudden it's like, wait, now I need to do a grand opening, and now I need to do this. So all of that stuff, almost every time we've ever opened a license, like whether it was our home care, assisted living, our adult day center, we were throwing a grand opening party like within a 2-week period, plus or minus, like when we thought we were going to be licensed. So we were like already like 3 months prior to the idea, like whatever day that we were like, okay, we think we'll be licensed around this period of time. So we're kind of like throwing a dart on the board to say, okay, well, if we think it's going to be around this period of time, then we're going to throw a big grand opening party here. And whether we're open or not, we're still going to have the party. We're still going to invite the people. We're still going to promote, right? So the biggest thing is the first 3 months. I mean, so right now, between now and the time that you open, is all about promoting. It's talking to discharge planners. It's figuring out, what type of community events in your area, like have, senior related services. I know a lot of areas might have an area agency on aging. They might have like we have a group called our Charlotte Elder Affairs Network. We have another one called Sarasota County Aging Network. All of these things that, when I go to these events, everyone in the room, they're home care agencies, their assisted living facilities, their Medicare home health companies, their hospices. I'm going into those rooms. I'm collecting everyone's card. I'm going to anything that is aging related, elder law attorneys, assisted living, home care, Medicare home health, hospice, skilled nursing facilities, hospitals, discharge planners, care management organizations, case managers. I'm going to every single person in my town. I'm making a master list, and I'm going to every single person in that town. I'm getting all of their information. I'm going to start building my email list. I'm going to start talking to them about, hey, we're almost done. We're going through the licensing process. I'd love to, learn a little bit more about you. Can we grab coffee together? Or like just getting to know every single person in your area, and then as you plan that grand opening day, right? Now you can circle back around and you're giving them your flyer and you're like inviting them to this event, and you're just, telling them, you want them to buy into your journey. You want them to understand, where you're at in the process, why you're doing what you're doing, why you believe in, adult day, why you're passionate about taking care of others. Like, you want everyone in town to know who you are and know that you have a grand opening coming up on this day, and that you cannot wait to start serving the seniors in your area,
Right. So I need to go ahead and send my home care clients letters about
Heck yeah,
about this home care.
absolutely. Hey, it's coming. It's coming. We're gonna be doing 100%. There's no holding back. You want to let everybody know. See, here's the thing too, is like, a lot of times you may not be able to advertise that you're open and that you're accepting people, right? Because you're not licensed. But there's nothing that is going to prevent you from walking into the discharge planner's office, telling them about what you do, grabbing their card, and making them aware that, hey, you're going to be opening soon. You hope to submit everything by October, or I think you said you hope to be open by October, right? So just looping them in all of that, making sure that they understand that, like, hey, Erica's about to open her place. Oh, hey guys, did you see she's doing a little soft launch coming up, like for all the case managers. Oh, and she got a grand opening come up. Let's go support her. Like, just whatever you can do to build all of that hype. But the biggest thing too is make sure all of those people are on an email list that you're hitting on a regular basis, giving them updates about where you're at in the process.
Okay, thank you.
Because the last thing you want, you just don't want to get to opening day and be like, oh crap, now I need to go market. You want opening day to be like the announcement where all the relationships that you made for those last 2 or 3 months, now you're on opening day and you're like, guess what? We got licensed, and everyone's cheering you on, and now like they can actually start referring people to you, but you've already been top of mind for the last, 2-3 months, So, all right, go keep us posted. I want to hear about your journey.
I will.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I didn't know this was going to be more of a questions and answer thing. I guess I didn't do my homework on this. So my question is, and if it sounds stupid, I apologize, but somebody once told me there's no stupid questions, right?
That's right. That's right.
So what is a typical stay for someone who's going to come into the program? Like, what's the life expectancy of someone? Well, not like till death, but what I mean is like when someone decides they want to come and be part of this program as a customer, they usually stay for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. What's the life expectancy of a customer?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, at least in our experience, focused on the senior space, because like if you had young adult, it's probably gonna be way different. But like on this, if I'm thinking about the senior care, like the senior focused adult day center, we're about 18 months somewhere between like 12 to 18 months. The hard part is we're still like averaging out that data because we still have people that have been with us for like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So but I would say, I know when we measured it last, there's gonna be some people that come in and they're with you for 3 to 6 months because it was an interim solution before they move into assisted living. There's gonna be other people that like the plan was always to stay at home and for as long as possible, and they might be with you for 2, 3, 4, or 5 years.
Okay. And how long does Medicare pay for?
Yeah, so in anything like assisted living, adult daycare, or private in-home care, so Medicare doesn't pay for those services. So Medicare will pay for like short-term rehab, hospital, stays, surgeries, knee replacement, hip replacement. Medicare pays for short-term incidences. Medicaid, however, will pay for adult day services, home care, and then, assisted living. But Medicaid is really just about 16% of the population, because, and you have to have certain qualifications, like you have to have less than 2,000 per month in income. There's certain asset requirements. There are some workarounds with an elder law attorney to like, get around that ruling. But as of right now, for those 65 and up, only about 16% of the population falls under Medicaid. Medicaid will pay for the services. Typically, Medicaid reimburses at a much lower reimbursement rate compared to what you could charge someone private pay.
Okay. And I think I heard you say before, an average day is around $100.
That's what your target should be, for a private pay adult day center. If you do accept Medicaid, every state's going to be different because Medicaid is a state-funded program. So every state makes up their own rules as far as like what they reimburse on the Medicaid side of things. So, in Florida, it's going to range anywhere between, I don't know, $50 to maybe $75 per day, depending on the area, depending on the insurance company that you're working with. In Florida, what it is, they have, you don't bill the state directly. What you do is you work with a managed care organization, and that managed care organization is like an insurance company that helps manage the Medicaid funds on behalf of the state. And so they get the insurance company gets paid. You contract with the insurance company pays you. And so you're contracting at a rate at which the insurance company is willing to pay you. So that's why the rates can vary anywhere between $50 to maybe $75 per day, depending on what you can negotiate.
And how much does it cost for that licensing?
To get
approved with Medicaid?
Yeah, so I mean, to get approved with Medicaid, there's no cost to that. I mean, it's just more of a matter of like you have to have a licensed, you have to be a licensed adult day center. You have to be able to show all your credentials to an MCO. The MCO has to go through a credentialing process and then approve you to become a Medicaid, provider. I mean, you're gonna have to go get your Medicaid license. You'll have to get an NPI number, and then once you get those things, then you'll go to the MCO and say, okay, Mr. MCO, I got my Medicaid number, I got my NPI number, I have all my credentials. Here you go. You'll fill out an application. They'll send you a contract. You'll like agree to a rate. Then they'll take you through credentialing, and then they'll give you like an approval.
Okay. How much does your franchise cost?
Yeah, so our franchise fee is $49,500. But the total investment of an ActivAge franchise is going to be somewhere between $750,000 and like $900,000. But it's a different model. Like, so there's a lot of people that, they're not like our build out is much more extensive, but we're also catering to a private pay individual. we're about 6,000 to 8,000 square feet, depending on the market you're in. But our build out is probably the most extensive cost of what we're doing, and so, but the idea behind that is that we're catering to a different audience, and we're somewhere between maybe 100 to 136 bucks a day, and people are paying out of their own pocket for those services.
This is
Erica.
Erica again.
Oh,
I'm having to
okay.
get licensed by DHEC, and then because I also want to be able to provide for people with Medicaid. I'm also going to be getting licensed through Medicaid. But it just now occurred to me, after I'm licensed through DHEC, would I be able to start seeing people then? I wouldn't even have to wait. I mean, I still want to see the Medicaid, but am I fully licensed to be able to start bringing people in for private pay?
When you say DHEC, what is DHEC? Where
So
are you at?
in South
Erica?
Carolina,
Got
the
it.
Department of Health and no, DHEC. Yeah,
Okay.
DHEC is who I have to get my license through first, or that's my regulating body, basically.
Got it. So every state's different. So I know when I was talking to Greg, I was specifically talking about Florida, because I think, Greg, you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa.
Tampa,
I
okay.
live in Palm Harbor, but my building's in Crystal River.
Got it. Okay. So just to clarify, Greg and Erica. So in Florida we have ACA, Agency for Healthcare Administration. They're our governing body. You have to be licensed, and then once you get licensed, then you can get your Medicaid approval, or basically you get licensed, you get your NPI number, then you get your Medicaid approval, and then you go work with an MCO. In South Carolina, Erica, I don't know. I mean, as far as private pay is concerned, Erica, are you a licensed state? Like, you have to have an adult daycare license?
Yeah, I believe so.
Then
like I'm
for,
having to get 2 specific licenses, one through DHEC and then one through Medicaid. And the Medicaid one depends on DHEC. But based on what you were saying, I was curious if once I get the DHEC license, does that mean I can start seeing people that are paying privately, even though they're
100%.
not coming through? Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you
That's good to know, because that's going to
yeah.
be a whole nother 90 days. Okay, thank you. Sorry for stepping in.
100%, because the problem is that the Medicaid process it takes a while. So I know some states they make you wait a year. I know, I don't know if the one thing you'll want to check is, does the state of South Carolina pay you directly through Medicaid, or do you get a relationship or a contract with a managed care organization? So anyways, if you because that'll be another element of like delays. But that's also, all of this is another reason why I think private pay is a lot simpler, because you don't have to worry about all these headaches. You get your license, you open up, and you start taking care of people, and it's just a different philosophy, but both work. They just have their pluses and minuses. Greg, I did want to. I felt you were about to ask a question and wanted to get to the last question. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just throw something in for Greg quickly with the payments? Also, VA benefits do pay for there are VA benefits will pay for adult daycare, and long-term care insurance will pay for adult daycare.
Yeah, just real quick though, Medicaid, VA is going to take time. Private pay, long-term care insurance is immediate, as far as once you become licensed. Greg, go ahead, man. We'll wrap it up here with your last question here.
Okay, cool. So the question is, my build out's already done, but I didn't build my property out for this model, but it really, when you look at it and you walk through the property, you see it's already set up pretty much. Because again, it's set up like an Airbnb. So I have a 2-family in an NBR zone, which means it's like a residential business district, 3-minute walk to Main Street. So the city came in, they said they didn't like my business model, and then they told me what I could do. They said, well, you can do bed and breakfast, you got to serve breakfast, and you have to have management on, or you could do adult daycare. There was other things you could do too, but the 2 most interesting ones was the bed and breakfast, which I'm pretty much set up for, and the adult daycare. So my question is, I'm already set up and my built out's done. So I know this isn't probably an easy question for you to answer, but how far away am I to opening if I wanted to just decide that I wanted to go down this route, considering that my build out's already done.
Yes, your adult daycare route, you're saying? If you want to go that route?
Yeah, like the building is pretty much set up. First of all, and another question is, do we need do you need sprinkler systems for this or no?
So that won't be a state thing. That'll be like your local county, you know. So like you'll have to go to the zoning department, and
Okay.
the zoning department will either have you'll either be zoned appropriately for adult daycare, or you would have to potentially petition to be zoned as an adult daycare.
Well, I already am zoned for it, but as far as the building specs, I hear
you're zoned for adult daycare.
Yeah, but I hear I hear some types of businesses, they want that sprinkler system, which it's going to cost another 30 grand to put that in or something like that or whatever, So I don't know what I'm up against when it comes to that.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
is that or you don't know?
It's going to depend on the county's going to make that. So you go to the fire department, and have and the fire department's going to
determine that.
Right. Determine that. Yeah. So I mean, we were trying to petition not to have to put one in our building, but we had to, because we're like, hey, look, they're not staying overnight. We have plenty of we have plenty of. But anyways, long story short, we did not win that battle. They said we have to have a fire sprinkler system. We have to put one in. Ours is a much bigger space though. So, or maybe it's bigger. I don't know how big your space is, but
well, it's 2,400 square feet. So
got it. Yeah. So it's definitely, that's going to be a county question specific to the fire department on the fire sprinkler thing. But there's going to be there's a lot of there's a lot of hurdles, because you're gonna have to have emergency management plan. You're gonna have to have a fire sprinkler system. Potentially have a fire sprinkler system, or at least have the fire department give you a letter of satisfactory inspection. You're gonna have food service come in there, the health department. You're gonna put together an application. You're gonna have to submit financials. You're gonna submit that off to the state. It'll probably take you about 30 to 45 days to gather all the information to get, prepare the packet to send to the state. Once you send it to the state, you're probably somewhere between 30 to 60 days in kind of a hang time until you hear back from them. They're gonna send you back a letter of omissions. You're gonna fight with that. So you're probably realistically, I would say, somewhere between 90 to 180 days from getting an adult daycare license, depending on if the space is conducive to that business model.
Right. And how long does it take to pick up a customer? And do you guys help with that?
On the franchising side?
Yes.
Or just on the yeah, I mean, it's just going to depend on the area. There's so many factors there, as far as the density of the population, there's a lot, there's so many factors to that. And we certainly, on the franchising side, we certainly help, that's a big portion of what we do. But at the end of the day too, the biggest thing is I don't know how it seems like if it's intended or could be a bed and breakfast, it seems like it might be make for a better, more of an assisted living rather than adult day.
Right.
Yeah,
I like that model too.
Because in the adult day model, we're the preferred adult day model is an open concept. It's just a wide open space, no bedrooms.
Right. Now, do you guys get into that too, or no?
What's that? The
assisted, not assisted. What they call it. I like the idea of more independent living. You've heard of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's I like the independent living. It's a possibility. I mean, it's becoming more and more popular.
My mom's in one, so I know all about it because my mom in one.
Is she in a small one or a large one?
No, it's a big one. It's in Trinity. It's called the Watermark. You can look it up. It's a beautiful building. It's like a huge hotel, and they have two. They have independent living building on one side, and then another building outside. But they're huge, 20-story buildings, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a nice place.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no maintenance. What I notice is that the rent's really high, and there's no maintenance for them to really do anything for the person.
Yeah.
Which I like.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, if I was just being straight up with you, I would bet that the assisted living model or bed and breakfast would probably be the better model if it's set up more of a residence than adult daycare. Because adult day, I just want a big open space,
Yeah.
So but the assisted living model might make more sense for that use for what you're trying to do,
And that's not something you guys don't get involved in that, right?
Yeah, we don't get involved. I have experience in it. I mean, I'd be happy to, when we go, I could always try to like help you out a little bit. We do coaching calls and we can do one-on-one. I mean, I started in assisted living. We had an 11
Yeah, I
bed.
remember. I watched one of your videos. I
Yeah.
saw you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So I
awesome.
mean, I'm super familiar with it. Did it, for 10 years. We were pretty successful with that, but it's one of those things where,
Pick a lane.
what's that?
You picked a lane and you went somewhere else. It doesn't
Yeah,
make you a bad guy.
no, I fell in love with adult daycare. So we decided to go all in on that. So we sold
Yeah,
our assisted living to go all in on that. But I mean, I probably have the most experience in assisted living because I lived in mine for
Right.
3.5 years. So
Wow.
so I mean, they talk about doing every single job imaginable. We did it all. I mean, that was how we got our start. I mean, I was 23,
Right.
my wife was 21. We lived in it. That's how we got started. So happy to talk to you about it. I mean, like best thing to do. I mean, if you wanted to like talk about the assisted living, I mean, you could go to the adcpro.com/coach, and we could schedule a call. And I mean, I could give you, point you in the right direction for sure on that.
Okay,
If
cool.
that made sense. So,
Yeah, I
but
appreciate it. Thanks for your help.
yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, I really appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Remember it's the second Wednesday of every month we do these calls. They're, the idea is live Q&A. Everyone always, seems to learn better from the live Q&A. If you guys haven't already, make sure you check out the YouTube channel. Tons of stuff on there about, adult daycare, and we have different playlists for finance, operations, licensing, marketing, all that good stuff. So check that out. We'll see you guys next month, and y'all have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to learn how to open your own adult daycare center, go to adcpro.com. If you'd like the latest business tips, click here, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click here. We'll see you guys next time.